Hello, everybody. Good morning. What's up? Yeah. Now let's see.
Done that. Just want this a nice intimate type thing where it just all plays out really nicely. So it's bluerocktalk.tv, half price for the next 48 hours. Forever, by the way, forever you'll get that. So speaking of creepy places, I'm going to have to get a location from our next guest, AP. He's always been fascinated with supernatural beliefs and stories, and it's real nice talking to him. When I met him over the phone, he finds all this delving into the folklore of the past, provides a window into how people interpret the world around them. And so he got into looking for some really unique things when he came across some cool stuff. And I'm going to let him fill in the blanks of the things and the stuff. His main focus for a number of years has been vampire accounts. So he explores how our modern notions about vampires compare to actual folkloric beliefs in his book, Vampires of Lore, Traits and Modern Misconceptions. It's AP that we're talking to. You'll have to check out his website, locationsoflore.com. And AP came across some really interesting things, and I think you're going to find it. I think you're going to like all this too. Now, AP, because of some of the things you brought up to me, first of all, first time on Coast to Coast, welcome to Coast to Coast.
Well, thank you very much, Connie.
And tell me exactly, what is a vampire?
Sure. So when I first started
Big
getting
baby.
into my research for doing the book, something I kind of realized rather quickly was that, well, I need to sort of define what a vampire is. I was looking to sort of contrast our modern notions about vampires with the actual heroic creatures.
Oh,
When we started looking into legends and mythology and stuff like that,
we'll go like this here.
Professor was saying that it wouldn't come to the floor, it wouldn't take, they wouldn't even start hearing it or take a vote until Tuesday, which is inauguration day, 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mitch McConnell could call them back, but he's not going
But
to
if
do
he
that.
did, he'd call it back on Monday, right? And
He could call them back today.
which he's not going to do. Mitch McConnell has already said that. So if he does get impeached, then I assume they're doing this because they don't want him to be able to run again in 4 years. So
Exactly.
Republicans
That's
will
what
start
Nancy Pelosi
thinking
said.
about, right, so Republicans have got to start thinking about who the next Republican candidate is. But Nancy Pelosi, everything's been so divisive in our country. Nancy Pelosi, we heard her say, remember after President-elect Biden was voted in November, and she said, well, now that he's voted in, we can do the stimulus check and pass those out to everyone who's been hurting. The money ran out, when was it, August 1st, Steve? The money, the last stimulus money?
PPE
I think it was August, right?
PPE money.
So it's been months all these restaurants are trying to stay afloat, and they're all having a tough time. And Nancy Pelosi was interviewed on 60 Minutes last night. They talked about a myriad of things. They talked about what happened at the Capitol, and she walked through there and she got teary-eyed. And she also talked about being able to compromise. And Leslie Stahl said, you're not known for compromising. Look at this.
You yourself are not known as a person who compromises.
No, I am. I compromise.
What about the COVID relief package?
Yeah.
That was held up for 8 months.
Right. But that was their obstruction. I understand this.
Well, wait.
But their obstruction.
Yours too.
Their obstruction.
No, yours too. Takes
That
2
wasn't
years.
obstruction.
You held out for 8 months.
No, we held it up because there was no respect for our heroes, our state and local healthcare workers.
There's a member of your caucus who said specifically that we look like obstructionists and it was a mistake.
But I don't remember anybody saying that. And they may have. But it wasn't a mistake.
She does not like to be challenged. She just wants to. Stahl did a good job. She did a great job. And I appreciate her saying that because I thought it was just going to be a walkthrough and see how bad Donald Trump is because she did not do a very fair job with the president every time she interviews him. But advisors have told the Steve Reverend Jr. and Axios is reporting, advisors are urging Biden to steer clear of the impeachment debate and keep the above the fray position that he staked out on Friday. After speaking about the violence twice this week, he hit pause for the weekend and will not address the riot. And he's not going to be speaking publicly for a few days. For the best for the country is not to do this impeachment, but she doesn't care what's best for the country. No doubt about it. It could have been worse at the Capitol. No doubt about it. It was traumatic. But the fact that this is their response, I find is really disconcerting and disheartening to think that they might be able to get something done over the next couple of years. You should be focusing on opening up this economy, getting people back to work, and get the vaccines in people's arms. That should be your focus.
But there are, and while she's on TV talking about how she wants to impeach the president and have him or have Mike Pence just pull the plug on him, we'll give him 24 hours to invoke.
Would you know it doesn't work like that with the 25th Amendment?
She can want what she wants.
Because nothing is off the table.
Well, that's right. There are some Democrats privately, though, who say, look, we want this impeachment thing to go away because we want Joe Biden to be successful in the first 100 days. But it is hard for them to see how they can put the toothpaste back in the tube because there is so much momentum right now on Capitol Hill. They've got north of 200 co-sponsors on a resolution for impeachment. That's going to happen.
Pivot to censure.
All right, let's see what happens. In the meantime, on this Monday, despite the change in power in Washington, D.C., our next guest says the push to preserve America's freedom must continue even after President Trump's term ends. Newt Gingrich is next.
Hey, we get it. You don't want to be hearing a Progressive commercial right now, so let us tell you something you do want to hear. No one is funnier than you. People laugh just thinking about the things you've said. I'm laughing at one of them right now. Coworkers repeat your jokes at the office, but they're never as good as when you tell them, and shame on them for trying. There. Don't you feel better? No, I also feel better knowing you can save when you bundle home and auto with Progressive. Although I'm sure you'd have a funnier way to say that. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Other is not available in all future situations.
HR issues can kill you. Wrongful termination suits, minimum wage requirements, labor regulations, and HR managers' salaries are not cheap. They're $70,000 a year. I'm Alan Jones, founder and CEO of Bandy. I created Bandy specifically for small business. Get a dedicated HR manager, craft HR policy, and maintain your compliance, all for just $99 a month. Seriously, let's change HR from your biggest liability to your biggest strength. With Bambi, your dedicated HR manager is available by phone, email, and time chat. From onboarding to terminations, we customize your policies to fit your business and help you manage your employees day to day. All for just $99 a month, period. Month to month, no hidden fees, canceled anytime. Get a free HR audit today.
Go to Bambi.com/Fox right now to schedule your free HR audit. That's Bambi.com/Fox. Spell BAM to the BEE.com/Fox.
Introducing the smartest invention since the smartphone, the American-made Cup Phone from WeatherTech. The Cup Phone safely and securely holds virtually any size phone while fitting into virtually any size cup holder. Your phone will remain safely by your side at all times, and not just when you're driving. Secure your phone while boating or even golfing. Phones easily slide in and out of Cup Phone even while charging, and are accessible for voice commands and, of course, navigation. It's really the smartest way to protect your smartphone. Order your Cup Phone today at WeatherTech.com.
When was the last time you watched your home movies? If you're like most, there's a box in your closet of videotapes, film reels, and photos that don't get watched. Worse, they're degrading. Hi, I'm Adam. 10 years ago, we started Legacy Box to help families convert their aging media to digital. Here's how it works. Fill Legacy Box with your camcorder tapes, film reels, and photos. We professionally digitize and send them back on DVDs, thumb drives, or the cloud, ready to watch and share. Legacy Box is the world's largest, most trusted home movie and photo digitizer. Over 450,000 families have used Legacy Box, and we've been featured on Good Morning America, Rachel Ray, and The Today Show. Dust off those recorded moments and preserve your family's history so it can be easily passed down for generations. Experience peace of mind and enjoy reliving the glory days. Order your Legacy Box today. Visit legacybox.com/news for a limited time to get 40% off your order. That's legacybox.com/news for 40% off. legacybox.com/news. Now's the time to take control of your career and your
Well, why
future.
don't they come
And Budget
on with the
Blinds, the
news?
number
We're
one
waiting
window
for
coverings
it.
franchise in North America is helping people all across the country own their own business.
Being a Budget Blinds business owner, I've been able to build my own business successfully, but then also be able to prioritize my time for other things that are important to me in my life.
As seen on Extreme Makeover Home Edition, as a Budget Blinds franchise owner, you'll help homeowners creatively solve their custom window covering needs, and you'll partner with a company who supports their franchisees every step of the way.
We've just enjoyed being a Budget Blinds owner very much. I'm my own boss. Yeah, I love it.
Invest in yourself and become a Budget Blinds franchise owner today. For more information, go to budgetblinds.com/foxnews or call 888-886-8850. That's budgetblinds.com/foxnews or 888-886-8850. This is not an offering to sell a franchise. Franchise offerings are only made through our franchise disclosure document. Call and ask for details. Sirius XM Radio.
Sirius XM.
Well, there are 9 days left in this term, and House Democrats set to move quickly starting today with plans to force President Trump out of office, including impeaching him for the second time. Fox News contributor and former House Speaker Newt Gingrich led the push for Bill Clinton's impeachment. He knows a thing or two about that. He joins us right now. Newt, as we look at what the Democrats are preparing to do, one element that we have not discussed is the fact that all these members of Congress, for the most part, they were on Capitol Hill on Wednesday, along with their staffs, and freaked out by what happened. My daughter was working in Congress on somebody's staff, and she heard gunshots. Locked the door, and they were told not to make any noise, and they were all sitting on the floor, crying and praying.
Look, I mean, you can't, on a human level, you have to really respect that. When I was speaker, we had 2 policemen killed while they were on duty by a guy who was mentally ill. And it's a very frightening moment. Callista was reminding me that when she was working on the House Agriculture Committee on 9/11, the police came by and said, run down the road away from the Capitol.
Right.
And so they were, so I sympathize with the level of fear that people felt. But I think it's leading them to some steps that are going to be very counterproductive from their standpoint. First of all, if Trump is so unpopular, they don't need to pass anything. And if down deep Trump's that popular, then having a bunch of politicians in Washington trying to block him from running, that's the worst possible step they could take. They're just, once we get past this immediate period, they're just going to give them a whole new cause. And they're better off to ignore Trump for the moment, focus on the really big issues. COVID is a disaster, and I don't think the Biden people are going to be dramatically more effective than the Trump team was. China is on the march, and we are going to, I think, in the next 2 years, take a terrible beating. The Iranians are aggressive. We have no solution for that. The Europeans are falling apart. They just signed an agreement with China that basically creates a Chinese-European alliance. There are a lot of things out there, and of course, most Americans are still trapped in their homes. They're still faced with social distancing. Their children aren't getting a decent education. And if you're a small business, you're being destroyed by the politicians' decisions. So there's so many big things we need to focus on. It's somehow tragic to have the news media and people like Speaker Pelosi absorbed by politics in its narrowest and cheapest way.
Meanwhile, this is something that Joe Biden, he, like Nancy Pelosi, feel that the President of the United States incited an insurrection and an attack on the Capitol. But at the same time, he wants to get stuff done when he is President of the United States here in about 9 or 10 days. And he does not need the Senate tied up in an impeachment trial when he's trying to get his nominees through and approved and to try to move some sort of legislative stuff forward.
Look, the smartest thing President-elect Biden could do would be to calmly put out a note saying that he disapproves of pursuing personal vendettas, and then invite the Senate Republicans, all of them, to come to a meeting before the inaugural, to sit down and listen to them, and indicate to the country at large that he actually wants to govern with both Democrats and Republicans. That would give him a better launch for his inauguration than anything he could do. But if they stay as narrowly partisan as they are now, you look at the new Democratic House rules that were just adopted that eliminate the Republicans' ability to even offer an amendment. I mean, this was a power grab by Pelosi that's unbelievable. You look at that, by the way, the very same rules, which outlawed mother, father, brother, sister, and 29 words. And I don't see how most of their marginal members are going to go home and defend it. And they voted for stuff that's insane. So we see no evidence of trying to come together, and every evidence of the left, of course, the oligarchs and the internet giants, who I think are way overreaching and setting up what will presently be a catastrophe for.
Well, who has not come together? That's the Democrats in the House. Here's Nancy Pelosi last night on 60 Minutes talking about how some people like AOC would like some younger blood at the top. Listen.
Why does AOC complain that you have not been grooming younger people for leadership?
I don't know. You'll have to ask her. Because we are.
That was kind of sharp, kind of dismissing her.
I'm not dismissing her. I respect her. I think she's very effective, as are many other members in our caucus that the press doesn't pay attention to. But they are there, and they are building support for what comes next.
We've got less than a minute. What's going on between Nancy Pelosi and AOC?
It's not complicated. AOC wants to be important. Nancy Pelosi represents a different generation. And the truth is, when it got down to a secret ballot vote, AOC lost by 46 to 12. and a vote to get a seat on Energy and Commerce. So AOC is a lot smaller than she seems. But Nancy Pelosi is, in fact, 2 generations older. She could be a grandmother. And I think that's probably now a liability.
All right. Newt Gingrich joining us on this very busy Monday. Sir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Meanwhile, coming up, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo expanding eligibility for the coronavirus vaccine after facing backlash because a bunch of doses spoiled, had to be thrown out before they got put into arms. A look at the troubled rollout coming up next.
Yeah, it's just getting daylight out. So.
Is your HR department struggling? Is payroll becoming unmanageable? What about insurance? When you track hours for dozens or perhaps even thousands of employees, Paychex all-in-one human resources, insurance, and payroll solutions can bring it all together. You'll have access to HR guidance, best practices, and employee tools. Get the insurance coverage you need to protect your company and competitive benefits for your employees with cost-sensitive health insurance, mobile access to HR analytics,
Everybody
training, and
on
50
your way
years
to
of
work.
expertise in payroll, HR, benefits, and insurance. Paychex can help you stay up to date on changing regulations, get recommendations, and improve employee benefit options. Paychex suite of next-generation HR solutions can help fine-tune your operations and assist in taking your business to the next level. Sign up today for 1 month free at paychex.com/future.
Insurance is sold and serviced by Paycheck Insurance Agency, Inc., 150 Sawgrass Drive, Rochester, New York, 14620. California license number 0C28207. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider and are only available if the provider determines a prescription is appropriate. Prescription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The outrageously expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And Hims makes it extra affordable. You pay just $30 for a month's supply. And right now, get your first online doctor's visit totally free when you go to 4hims.com/XM. That's right, free. Zero copay, no expensive appointments, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. Hims connects you to doctors online who can evaluate you and, if appropriate, prescribe your ED medication. And the pharmacy sends it right to your door. Hims makes it affordable, private, and incredibly easy. Nobody likes dealing with ED. Now, thanks to Hims, nobody has to. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/XM. That's 4hims.com/XM for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/XM.
If you haven't tried Super Beets Soft Chews, you're missing out. Super Beets Soft Chews combine non-GMO beets with a powerful new ingredient, grapeseed extract. The grapeseed extract used in Super Beets Chews is clinically shown to be 2 times as effective at supporting normal blood pressure than as a healthy lifestyle alone. Super Beets Chews promotes heart-healthy energy the way nature intended, without caffeine or stimulants. Now you can take just 2 delicious chews a day, anytime, anywhere. You won't find blood pressure and energy support that tastes this good anywhere else. And now you can get a free 30-day supply of Super Beets Chews, plus a free 30-day supply of vitamin D3 chews for immune health support on your first purchase by going to getsuperbeets.com/Fox News. That's 2 free bonus gifts valued at over $50, only available at getsuperbeets.com/Fox News. GetSuperBeets.com/Fox News.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The following statements have not been evaluated by the FDA and were in trials tested mild to moderate symptoms. Testimonials based on 90 days of use. 1419 by UBC and LDO.
Hi, I'm Mary Lou Breton. For relief of hot flashes, night sweats, and low energy, I rely on Ambien. Ambien is clinically shown to help relieve 12 menopause symptoms by restoring hormonal balance without drugs and without estrogen. Give Ambien a try and see why it's America's #1 menopause relief supplement. Available at your Walmart, Sam's Club, Walgreens, Target, and other fine stores.
Nobody covers the hot button issues like Tucker Carlson. For strong opinion and smart insight, Tucker Carlson delivers. Tucker Carlson tonight, weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox News Channel.
Beginning New York State will expand its COVID vaccine distribution after Governor Andrew Cuomo faced criticism, justifiably, for the state's slow rollout. Out of the 1.2 million vaccinations distributed throughout the Empire State, only 434,000 of them have been administered. Keep in mind, most need a second shot. Will this get things back on track? I'm going to ask Dr. Nicole Saphier. She lives here, works here, and is frustrated here Will this help, Dr. Sapphire?
Well, Brian, let me tell you, I mean, I don't understand why Friday there was an announcement that, okay, because we're having to now throw away vaccine doses because they've expired, because they've sat on the shelf so long, you know what, Monday morning, we're going to start vaccinating more. I mean, I was working all day Saturday. I don't understand why these sites weren't opened up Saturday morning, Friday night. This is an emergency, Brian. We are in the middle of a pandemic. We have over 3,000 Americans dying every day. We have over 130,000 Americans hospitalized, and our hospitals are completely stretched thin right now. This is an emergency and needs to be of the utmost important, and we can't be making comments on Friday and saying that this is what's going to be occurring on Mondays. They need to open up these new sites. They need to lessen up the restrictions on who can administer the vaccines and who can receive the vaccines. And this needs to be happening on a minute-to-minute, second-to-second basis as they are seeing what is going on.
All right, let me just tell you the new, and this might really apply because people listen around the country, around the world. This is what New York is doing, and because we got hit harder than anybody else. Now they decide people age 75 and up are eligible. Education workers, so teachers and others, first responders, public transit workers, public safety workers. Is this a step in the right direction? And as Steve just brought up, why is it in some states 65 and up and in New York 75 and up?
Well, as you know, Steve mentioned, it varies throughout the states, and each decision is based on states' rules. I mean, this is completely up to the states how they want to distribute their vaccines. The federal government only gives advice. The restrictions that came out of New York and several other states, they were far too tight in the beginning. It was only healthcare workers and the employees of the hospitals that were receiving the vaccines, as well as long-term care facility patients, as well as the staff. Well, there were people not opting to get it. You had a lot of states with less than 30% of those vaccine doses being administered. Of course they need to expand it. Of course they need to give it to more vulnerable and those that are high risk of contracting it. So that, you know, you want to get the elderly population that are more susceptible to severe COVID-19. The data shows us that 65 is really that cutoff where you start to jump in severity. 75 is an even bigger cutoff where you start to jump in severity. 75 is an even bigger jump. So when they're concerned that they're going to run out of supplies, which is probably why New York is saying we're going to keep it with 75 and not open it to 65. But let me tell you, Brian, the minute that they are still at 30 to 40% of their vaccine doses being administered, they need to open it up to anybody who wants a vaccine, because these restrictions are what is keeping us and hindering us from reaching that level of herd immunity that we so desperately need.
Listen, we're past the point where we want to be critical of people because we're in the middle of the tornado. However, if you got to talk to each other to find out who's having this work, which state is having it work, let's copy them. Success leaves clues. Right now, on a 7-day average, there's 246,000 states per day. On a 14-day average, we're up 38%, and only 6.7 million vaccinated. I thought we'd be at the point where we need more vaccines. I never thought we'd be at the point where we have vaccines and they can't vaccinate fast enough. Everywhere you turn, our government is letting us down. Dr. Sapphire, thanks so much.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, meanwhile, coming up straight ahead, conservatives flocking to Parler as big tech cracks down on President Trump. But now social media giants are moving to shut down Parler as well. Dan Bongino says it's open war on free speech. He's next.
Have you ever wanted to learn a new language like French, Spanish, or Russian, but thought it would be too difficult and time-consuming? Then go to Babbel.com and try it for free. Babbel works because it's built around real life. It teaches you everyday practical conversations that you will actually use. In 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. Babbel uses a modern conversation-based technique that makes language engaging, fun, and memorable. It starts by teaching you words and phrases. Then, sentences gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations about real-life topics. Babbel is created by language experts who use the spaced repetition method to help you learn and what you learn. With Babbel, you can speak a new language. Babbel, language for life. Start the new year with a new language. 60% off now at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Hi, I'm Greg Miner. As As the founder of a small business, I know firsthand how difficult it can be to manage through cash flow problems. When I tried to borrow money, the banks wouldn't touch me, and I got a lot of fast talk from loan brokers. That's why we founded Merchant Capital Source 10 years ago, to help small business owners like you get the funding you need without getting the runaround. We'll fund your business from $5,000 to $200,000, and because we're a direct lender, there's no middleman to cause delays or cost money. If you've been in business for 6 months and have sales of at least $15,000 per month, we can approve you within hours and put cash in your account within 3 days. The process is fast and easy, and the best part is that no tax returns, financial statements, or business plans are necessary. Experience the Merchant Capital Source difference and get cash for your business today.
Apply online at mcscash.com or call 800-231-6191. That's 800-231-6191. 800-231-6191. Loans made or arranged pursuant to a California law license.
Your timeshare sits empty. Travel restrictions and quarantine is the new normal. Over and over you have heard, we are all in this together. Meanwhile, your timeshare sits empty and useless. Month after month, your timeshare company demands your maintenance, mortgage, and assessment fees, amounting to thousands of dollars per year out of your pocket for nothing. Start the freedom process. Let Timeshare Freedom Group free you from your overpriced, unavailable timeshare. Thousands have done it. Now it's your turn. The leaders in the industry, Timeshare Freedom Group, has decades of experience canceling timeshares worldwide, legally and permanently. We're so good at it, we even offer a 100% money-back guarantee. You can keep wasting your money or dump your timeshare in 2020. Start the freedom process. Call Timeshare Freedom Group now because you have better things to do with your money. 866-26-CANCEL. That's 866-26-CANCEL. 866-26-CANCEL.
Timeshare Freedom Group, we set you free.
Bill O'Reilly here. Well, I got a crash course in home title theft because one of my friends experienced it. And I hope you are praying this never happens to you because it can ruin you financially. This is how the crime happened. Are kept on lawn where they can be hacked. Cyber thief can find your home's title, forge your signature on a quick claim deed stating you sold your home in their home. Then the thief takes out loans against your home until your equity is gone. You're not protected by insurance, your bank, or common identity theft programs. Home Title Lock does protect you. And in the unlikely event you become a victim of title theft while a member, Home Title Lock will spend up to $250,000 in legal fees to help restore your home's title. So please go to HometitleLock.com, register your address to see if you're already a victim. Then use code RADIO for 30 free days of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
It's devastating is what it is, and it's an assault on everybody. I mean, they all work together to make sure at the same time we would lose access to not only our apps, but they're actually shutting all of our servers off tonight, off the internet. Every vendor from text message services to email providers to our lawyers all switched us too on the same day. And they're trying to falsely claim that we were somehow responsible for the events that occurred on the 6th.
Let's bring in Dan Bongino, Fox News contributor and Parler investor. Good morning to you, Dan.
Hey, how are you this morning?
We're doing well. I know you're worried about this. You're an investor in this company, and they're silencing what's being posted up there. What's the future for Parler? What's your reaction to what they're doing?
You know, I've been in this now, about 10 years or so with Fox, and sometimes these teases are accurate. And sometimes they're not. Brian said before that Dan Bongino says it's open war. He's absolutely right. That's exactly what I said. This is an open war on free speech. Now, as an investor in Parler, who's in on all the calls and have been with Parler from the beginning, I can tell you right now, you have no idea how bad it was behind the scenes. You're like, well, gosh, Dan, how much worse can it get? The tech tyrants, the tech totalitarians, the communists at Apple and Amazon and Google, three of the biggest companies in the history of humankind, all came after you. You're telling me it's worse? Yes, it was worse. Our text providers are Twilio, companies that let us know how many direct active users there were on the sites. We had an idea of what activity levels were like. They canceled us. Our legal team backed out. I don't think you have any idea how bad it was. And listen, to other social media companies out there, and God bless them, who are trying to do what Parler did, who some of them are sitting there going, oh, listen, we did it right. We have our own servers. Good luck. Because wait till you see when the ISPs come for you next and block access to your ISP. Oh, no, that's not going to happen to us. You think this is one of the things? And for other companies that were suggesting, oh, my gosh, why did you guys go with Amazon? Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, listen, there was a big debate behind the scenes about that. There were only a few companies who could host the volume of traffic Parler had. You understand? We were wiped out. Listen to me, America. We were wiped out. I've been texting with Brian all weekend. And Brian, what did you say? Every text was like, Apple? Question. Yep, Apple. Then Brian would text me, Google too. Yep. Brian, Google. Then he texts me next. Amazon too? Yep. That was my answer every time. I have not slept all weekend. They've effectively tried to bankrupt me and my investors on Parler. And you know what? They won. And to all the geniuses out there too saying, oh, this is a private company. It's not a First Amendment fight. Really? It's not? Read the Wall Street Journal op-ed today about Marsh versus Alabama, where a so-called private town tried to restrict access to religious materials and lost because they were a de facto government. You know what? These companies are more powerful than a de facto government. You know why? At least with the government, if they put you in jail or fine you, there's a process to fight back. Apple and Amazon have given us no legitimate process whatsoever to fight back. They wiped a company from the face of the earth this morning, and liberals in the media are celebrating it. And you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm not a conservative, I'm not a Republican, that doesn't really concern me, little interest. If you think for a second it's not going to affect your lives, now it's conservatives, they're going to start honing and shaping exactly what we get. And you know where they got their trial run and learned it all? China. Because they went to what China asked them to do. China said, if you want to be in our company, if you actually want to be in our country, you're going to do X, Y, and Z. And also, I want all the information from all the users. And they did all of it. What would bring Apple, together with Google, together with their chief competitor, the Facebook and everybody else, what would bring them together? You guys. Because together, they want to make sure there's no competitors for anybody. So they're gonna rule the world, and we watched it happen. Yeah, and I encourage all the liberals who are laughing at this, who think this is some kind of a joke, read Solzhenitsyn's The First Circle. It's a classic book about how all the enablers of the Soviet Union, some of the scientists and intellectuals thought it was a great idea when the idiots who opposed totalitarianism were purged. And then they found themselves in jail. The very same intellectuals who read the book about the Czechs. Let me tell you something. You think this is funny? One, Parler will be back. So just so the audience understands, if I will go bankrupt and destitute before I let this happen. Listen, this cancer diagnosis to me opened my eyes to the world. I give exactly 0 hits with an S in front of it about what anyone thinks anymore. My eyes are wide open. Parler will be back. We'll be back by the end of the week. Parler. And I'm begging you all to please support us. It's not about the money. It's not about anything. If Parler goes down, everyone else will be next. And let me make one other counter argument too. Again, the other geniuses out there, especially some of the fake rhinos, go, listen, this is a free market. They can do what they want. It is. It's a free market. Because Twitter and Facebook are subsidized by a United States government a law, Section 230, where they're allowed to pull down and leave up whatever they want. And there are some lawsuits due to 230. But when Parler, which is not a surveillance platform, abides by the very same text of the law, 230, Parler's wiped from the face of the earth and doesn't get a government subsidy. So to all you geniuses out there, please explain to me again how this is a free market argument when a potentially $1 trillion subsidy is given to favored enterprises, but not to Parler, who actually follows the law. And by the way, we do have terms of service. There have even been some commentators on this network who say, who has lax moderation. We don't have lax moderation. Anyone can go to a parlay, a post,
and report it because it's violent and it violates our terms of service. Anyone. And we have a jury system that gets rid of it. That's totally inaccurate. Go to Twitter today. You can see Reza Eslan's tweet up there calling to burn the effing place down if Ruth Bader Ginsburg was replaced. The Ayatollah is calling for genocide. Hang Mike Pence was trending on Twitter, yet they get $1 trillion government subsidy to exist. And by the way, how is it not a monopoly? Google controls 98% of search or 90% of search. Apple, who doesn't allow any app store competitor on their closed platform, these are monopolies by definition. I thought liberals hated monopolies. Apparently not when they censor their political opponents, then they love monopolies.
Hey, Dan,
folks, this is an existential fight.
Don't be surprised if they come for Fox next. They might not like what's coming out of Fox. They might not like a show.
They're coming for Fox now.
Absolutely.
They're coming CNN. Oliver Dorsey, who used to pretend to be a conservative to grift for a paycheck from campus reform, this loser piece of garbage, is calling for cable companies to deplatform Fox. What are we going to talk by carrier pigeon? You think this is going to help? You're worried about radicals like everyone is on this network, including me? You think this is going to de-radicalize everyone, pushing them underground to have to meet in speakeasies? You think this is helping? What planet do you live on, man? You're doing this radicalization. It's networks like this and me who said violence? No. There's no place for that. We've been doing that from the beginning. It's these other idiots. It's these other people that have radicalized America.
All right, Dan Bongino joining us, who says Parler will be back by the end of the week. Dan, thank you very much.
We hear you.
All right, we're going to step aside. Tim Tebow coming up next.
You heard you could save big when you bundled home and auto with Progressive, so you went online to check it out. But then you saw a link for a survey about which type of breed you are. And now you're on question 17, barely scratching the surface of your bread identity. You always thought of yourself as a brioche, but are you actually more of a pumpernickel? Ah, yes, they said it was easy to save money bundling with Progressive, but they forgot about the rest of the internet. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Is your HR department struggling? Is payroll becoming unmanageable? What about insurance? When you drag hours for dozens or perhaps even thousands of employees, Paychex all-in-one human resources, insurance, and payroll solutions can bring it all together. You'll have access to HR guidance, best practices, and employee tools. Get the insurance coverage you need to protect your company and competitive benefits for your employees with cost-sensitive
I
health
guess
insurance.
no one's going to say good morning to me.
HR analytics, training, and 50 years of expertise.
Jeez, I feel kind of bad. Boo hoo hoo.
And insurance.
I'll be back tomorrow.
Stay up to date on
Don't you
changing
worry.
regulations. Get
I
recommendations.
mean, I ain't
and
going
improve
nowhere
employee
yet. I'm going to
benefit
finish
options.
out the hour.
Paychex suite of next generation
Maybe
HR
before the
solutions
hour's
can
up,
help
somebody will
fine-tune your
jump on and say
operations
good
and
morning.
assist in taking your business to the next level. Sign up today for 1 month free at paychex.com/future.
Insurance is sold and serviced by Paycheck Insurance Agency, Inc., 150 Sawgrass Drive, Rochester, New York, 14620, California license number 0C28207.
It's time to say goodbye 2020 and hello to a new year and new you with Echelon Fitness. With Echelon, there's a fitter, healthier, and happier you waiting with affordable studio quality connected fitness equipment ready to ship. Because no one should have to wait months to start their New Year's resolution. With thousands of daily live and on-demand studio-level classes led by world-class instructors. One Echelon membership lets up to 5 family members enjoy all the benefits. When it comes to
The benefits.
routine, Echelon has it all. Don't pay a ton or wait a ton for your New Year's fitness resolution to start. Ready to ship. Because no one should have to wait months to start their New Year's resolution. Echelon has it all. Try us for 30 days with zero down at echelonfit.com/serious. That's ECHELON fit.com/serious. echelonfit.com/serious.
If you've got lower back pain, that sharp ache makes it hard to drive. Stabbing pain through your back with every bump in the road. And that awful pinching pain can radiate down to your legs. Finally, there's good news. A truly unique and effective formula called Back-8 Max is available now. Back-8 Max is aspirin-free with 2 powerful medicines that effectively relieve temporary minor lower back and leg pain. Plus, it helps relieve the pressure-related pain that can make discomfort radiate into your legs, like with sciatica. Backache 6-Hour Formula provides maximum strength over-the-counter pain relief. That's why customers consistently rate Backache 5 stars for how well it reduces their back pain and pressure. You've been waiting long enough for effective relief from lower back and leg pain. Join the many people who have found the 5-star relief they need with specially formulated Backache Max. Pull into a CVS or Walmart now to get Backache Max in the blue box in the pain relief aisle. Use as directed.
Sirius XM Radio.
Sirius XM Radio.
The University of Alabama takes on Ohio State in the College Football National Championship game, and it comes after Alabama wide receiver Devontae Smith received college football's most prestigious award, the Heisman Trophy, with this very inspiring message about faith.
To all the young kids out there that's not the biggest, not the strongest, just keep pushing. No job is too big. If you put your mind to it, you can do it, and just keep believing in God, and you'll get where you want to be.
Here to react is 2007 Heisman Trophy winner and former NFL quarterback Tim Tebow. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Ainsley, how are you?
Hi, doing well, thank you. Well, you are in his family. You won the Heisman, and I saw you up on the big board when y'all were all zooming in with past winners. Tell me what you know about him. His speech was so cute and so inspiring, and then he also said hi to all of his fans back home in, I believe, Louisiana. What do you know about him?
Well, he's an amazing young man. He really has been his entire time at Alabama, and he's overcome so much. He's worked so hard. I mean, we remember, go back a few years ago, he caught the game-winning catch in the national championship against Georgia, and now he's getting ready to play in another national championship as a Heisman Trophy winner and one of the best seasons of all time. And he's also done it with character, with strength, with honor. He's done it the right way. I love how Coach Saban talks about him and Mac Jones and some of the other best players. He said he really likes it when his best players are also his best people. And that's exactly who Devontae is. And, he's just done it the right way. He's so humble. And he's just, I told him the other day when I was interviewing him, I said, you know what, Devontae, you know what your biggest problem is? You make it look too easy. If you made it look harder, I think you'd even get more credit. You're so good, you make it look too easy. But he's an incredible young man.
It was such a great message too. If you're smaller than your peers at school, because he said I was always the little one, but I just kept fighting and I believed in God. It was really inspirational. What are your predictions for tonight's game?
Well, you're gonna have to check it out and watch SEC Nation to find out.
I'll be watching. I'll be watching. Who do you like better?
I think it's gonna be an amazing game. I think it's going to be an amazing game. I really think if you look at this thing, I think Ohio State has crazy talent. I think they have a ceiling as high as Alabama. Alabama has been more consistent. I think overall throughout the season, Alabama has been a better team. But the way Ohio State is playing right now, I think gives them a shot. And when you have an X factor like a Justin Fields, I think anything can happen because of his arm, his legs, his athletic ability. And quarterbacks like this over the course of the last decade are the ones that give Nick Saban a lot of trouble. So I think it sets up for a great matchup.
Okay, how about Tom Brady? He had a great game last night. What gives him this longevity and this success? How does he do it?
Why, he's Tom Brady. I mean, he's Tom Brady. What else can you say? I think, honestly, it's his work ethic, it's his determination, it's his perseverance. Like, this kid has a better system of going to work than anybody else. I mean, the way that he works at his fundamentals is different than anybody else that's been around. Like, he's 40 years old, and he's the first one there, and he's the last one to leave. He beats everybody else with this training system. And that's why he can continue to do it at such a high level. And plus, he's also gifted to be at a couple places that had a lot of talent around him. And I think it's just when you have that mindset, which I think is the greatest gift that he has, is a mindset to never stop, to never lose, to never settle. And settling is a big one. A lot of people would have settled a while ago. 3 Super Bowls, 4 Super Bowls, 5 Super Bowls for Tom. It hasn't been enough, and that's why he's continued to grind, and that's why I think he's going to go down as the best ever.
All right, so I'm holding your new children's book. Congratulations. I know you've written a lot of books. This is your first children's book, right?
This is my first children's book. I loved it. I really have. I've enjoyed the entire process. For me, Ainsley, it just was really on my heart to want to write a children's book because I knew how much the children's books my parents would read to me before I go to bed meant to me. And I wanted to write something that would be encouraging and tell a good story, but also tell a lot of truths and encourage children in their work. They're God-given and that they matter, that they're unique, that they're special, they are wonderful. And that's exactly the last line in the book, is that you are wonderful, because I want every single boy or girl, when they lay their head on a pillow, to know that and remember that they are wonderful.
Well, I know you have your Night to Shine, which gives prom night for people with special needs. And I know that helped you with the book, A Party to Remember. I've read the book. It's precious. And your dog, Bronco, I follow you on Instagram, and I saw that your dog passed away, I guess, about a year ago. That video was so hard to watch because you're such a powerful, strong guy, and you are just weeping, as we all do when we lose our dogs. But tell me, Bronco's affiliated with this book too, right?
Yes, he is. He's the main character, and it was such a fun way to honor him. But I also want to mention the other main characters in the book are also amazing friends of mine that have passed away and are now looking back from which I wanted to remember and honor in the book. And it's cool how they all work together to realize that they all have something to offer, and they all use their strengths and their weaknesses together, their abilities and their disabilities together to help one another and find their purpose. And a lot of times how we find our purpose in helping one another.
Tim, you're so special. We are all beautifully and wonderfully made, as Scripture says. Thank you for this book. I'll give it to my daughter, and thank you for your powerful message. You're a wonderful, good Christian man.
Thank you so much, Ansley.
You're welcome, Tim. And congratulations on this 1-year anniversary. He got married last January. Okay, let's start this top of the hour with this news. Today, the House is expected to...
Social media app Parler goes officially offline after Amazon boots it off its servers.
Devastating what it is. It's an assault on everybody. Parler was attacked by 3 multi-trillion-dollar companies. You kind of have almost a cartel that has been created for one ideological viewpoint.
Today, the House is expected to move forward with its plan to force President Trump out of office.
So they're suggesting impeaching the president over a speech that many of us call reckless. He doesn't call for violence in the speech. He, in fact, tells his followers to be peaceful.
You are not known as a person who compromises. Uncompromised. What about the COVID relief package? You held out for 8 months.
No, we held it up because there was no respect.
Capitol Hill officers brave actions that stopped the mob from coming face to face with senators.
I don't know if this is something he was trained to do or instinct took over, but I can't thank him enough.
Today, the House is expected to move forward with its plan to force President Trump out of office.
All right, Speaker Pelosi says if the vice president does not invoke the 25th Amendment, which, by the way, he won't, they will move forward on a Second Amendment, second impeachment. You believe that?
Mark Meredith is live in Washington, D.C. with reaction from both sides of the aisle. Mark, good morning.
Steve, Ansley, Brian, good morning to you guys. House Democrats plan to move quickly with efforts to remove President Trump from office. And as you mentioned, it all starts later today when the House meets for a pro forma session. Democrats are going to start by introducing a resolution urging Vice President Mike Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment. They want Pence in the cabinet to force the president out of the White House. Pelosi says she wants Pence to give Congress an answer within the next 24 hours. The vice president is not expected to force Trump out of office, but Pelosi is making her case in a new interview with CBS.
The person running the executive branch is a deranged, unhinged, dangerous president of the United States. He has done something so serious that there should be prosecution against him.
Now, the timing for a potential impeachment remains in flux. There is talk of a vote on Wednesday. Meantime, some Democrats want Congress to censure the president now, issuing a sharp rebuke, while some Republicans want Washington to focus instead on unity.
I'm calling on the president-elect, Joe Biden, to say enough. I know that we can work together. The way to do that is not to call for another impeachment. The waste of money, the waste of time, the division that it will cause.
The president did not talk about any potential impeachment over the weekend. He didn't tweet about it either because his Twitter account was suspended late Friday. Other social media channels were also turned off, as we've been talking about. He's here in D.C. today, but he's going to be going down to South Texas tomorrow to visit the border. Steve, Ainsley, and Brian, back to you guys.
All right, Mark Meredith, thank you very much. Well, if the president wants a platform because his social media has been deplatformed, as they say, the plug pulled, he can just walk down to the briefing room. The cameras are hot all the time. If he has something to say, he could be there. He could camp out nonstop. It could be like a telephone where he just is there the entire time talking about what's going on with him. The reason the Democrats are going to have that resolution later today, they're going to try, but the Republicans are going to object to asking the vice president to invoke the 25th Amendment and give him 24 hours, 24 for 25. That is not going to happen, and that's why they're going forward. Because they say the President of the United States, and many on both sides of the aisle, actually say the President of the United States on Wednesday incited a riot that resulted in 5 people being dead on this Monday morning. Chris Christie said yesterday the Wednesday riot was certainly an impeachable offense. Of course, he's been a longtime ally of the president. Then you've got Pat Toomey, the senator from the great state of Pennsylvania, also a Republican. He said the president should resign and could face criminal liability as well. Wednesday was a disaster for the United States of America, and it ultimately will have an impact on the legacy of Donald Trump. But what about the larger question about impeachment? Jonathan Turley, who was involved in the Clinton impeachment, said this to Brian 2 hours ago.
The very concept of a snap impeachment runs against the grain of the Constitution. This was supposed to be a deliberative, not an impulsive process. We're suggesting impeaching the president over speech that many of us call reckless. But it's a type of vicarious impeachment in the sense that he doesn't call for violence in the speech. He in fact tells his followers to be peaceful. So the speech itself would not meet any definition as a criminal matter of incitement.
And the problem ultimately for Joe Biden, because he's incoming in the next 10 days and would like to get stuff done, a Senate engulfed in an impeachment trial would struggle to do anything less. But at the same time, across the rotunda, you've got Nancy Pelosi, who says simply the Republicans need to be put on the record. Where were they with Donald Trump before it all hit the fan on Wednesday?
Well, Ilhan Omar has added to that, too. She said she's going to formally present the articles of impeachment, and not just for inciting violence, she says, but also for that phone call to the Secretary of State in Georgia. She said that that's abuse of power. Congressman Jeff Van Drew, he's the one in his home state, New Jersey, and he used to be a Democrat, now he's a Republican. He's calling on Joe Biden. He says, you need to say, Joe Biden, enough is enough. Let's try to come together. There are some things in some areas I know that we can work together. The way to do that is to not call to impeach, not waste the money, not waste the time on that. Now, Dershowitz, as I've said several times this morning, he said it could go through the House, the impeachment, because obviously Democrats have the majority. But then when it gets to the Senate, they wouldn't even take it out for a vote until next Tuesday, which is Inauguration Day. Inauguration, I believe, at noon, because at 1 o'clock they would take that vote, and President Trump would already be gone.
As Marco Rubio said, as Senator Rick Scott said, as these other people have said, are you going to be kidding me? You know that this country is ready to explode. You saw what happened. You see the anger that the 74 million people feel because the president said repeatedly that he was robbed, but he's unable to prove it in 70-plus cases. But people who are supportive of him, who feel frustrated and shut out, are ready to explode. So you would think good leadership would bring down the temperature a little, look to turn the page, be inclusive, and move the country forward in a way we haven't been moved forward in the last 20 years. Wrong. She wants to go ahead and do impeachment. And just when you think we're going to go through this tedious, terrible process again, even though he's only got 9 days left in office, they'll pass it through the House. Get this. Hold it, because January 19th is when the Senate comes back, for 100 days. This is Jim Clyburn's brilliant idea. Then they're going to take it out. While he's out of office, we'll impeach him. Will be great. So that'll really bring the temperature down. If you wanted to mobilize and reunite any fracture that might exist in Trump world, you have done it. Because that spackled everything right back together quickly because they realized how irrational you are as a leader, Nancy Pelosi and everybody else that sides on.
Did Jonathan Turley say that is possible? You can impeach after out of office?
He says, I don't know. It's virtually unprecedented. They tried to do it with the senator who got impeached once. Then they tried to impeach him again after he's out of office. They ultimately decided he could not be impeached again. But moving over to the other story that I found.
And Brian, just one other point. And Ainsley brought this earlier. One of the reasons Nancy Pelosi wants to hold Republicans accountable and be on the record is also, coincidentally, she wants to make sure that Donald Trump is never able to run for office again, which would pull the plug on his 2024 ambitions.
What do you worry about? He's deranged, right? That'll really calm things down. Also, how irresponsible is it of her to talk to General Milley? Go through the balance of power. Call up the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and say, I want to make sure the president's not near the nuclear codes. Listening and watching and reading that, China, Russia, and everybody that wants to see America destroyed. You realize you're showing its total chaos at the highest level of government. Meanwhile, when it comes to the president getting his message out, he was the first to really utilize Twitter and Facebook in a way no one thought possible. It has helped bring those two companies up to new heights. 35 million followers on Facebook for the president. He's got about 80 million, 75 million on Twitter. Together, they combined with Google, Apple, and everybody else to shut him out forever. And they said, no problem. We're going to go to Parler. Parler was shut down. You just heard Dan Bongino 25 minutes ago. Was shut down because they have incendiary language on there. They were given 24 hours to settle things down, or they're going to be banned by everybody. So they were sucked out of the cloud, knocked off of platforms. Amazon is good. I talked with Maria yesterday and said this. CEO of Parler says, we will likely be down longer than expected. Amazon's, Google's, and Apple's statements to the press about dropping our access has caused most of our vendors to drop their support for us as well. And most people with enough service to host us have shut their doors to us.
And so essentially what Amazon and Apple and Google have done, because they're all pretty much, as we've been talking about for years, they're monopolists and they are private businesses and they can do what they want to do. However, Devin Nunes, the congressman from the great state of Florida, said, you know what? They all got together to crack down on free speech. He says that's a violation, these big companies doing these things, that's a violation of antitrust and civil rights, and there should be a RICO investigation, racketeering, on what those big tech companies, those monopolies have done to free speech. Notice how it's always on the political.
Well, hey everybody, I guess I'm going to call this one quits.
Dan Bongino, who is an investor from the get-go with Parler. And
hopefully I'll get more tomorrow morning. I'll be back at the same time.
Is because they said, look, you don't moderate the site.
So,
Dan Bongino said just a little while ago.
Everybody have a good
but nonetheless, they said
day.
You don't moderate the site, and there are all these threats, and people are
we'll listen to some more news tomorrow.
Stuff on it. Where's the,
take care. If you like what you see or you like what you hear,
on Twitter, I mean, there are no
don't forget to subscribe
what is
and comment
Parler, but it's not applicable
and
to Twitter because Dan Bongino said, look, you've got all these international
ring the bell so that
States is
you'll get all my notifications. Thank you.
It's to stay up. Dan Bongino, who was as passionate as we have ever seen him, had this to say about how what we've seen over the last 72 hours is an attack